All right, enough of that. All right. Hey everyone, it's Friday. It's Friday. I'm Brian. This is the Brick Sex Stream. Um, Trying something a little new this week. Dancing is not one of those. um, yeah, thanks y'all for coming and hanging out on Friday with me. Appreciate our singular viewer. You know what? F this. I'm gonna stream out some. I'm gonna mention some stuff. Hold on. Let me go and poke around on my let's see, where's my mastodon at? See, hashtag small streamer, hashtag Twitch. I'm doing some Golang tutorials right now, and I'll hashtag the Golangs. The one thing about Mastodon that I've learned is you must use the hashtags. It's the only way to get across the Federation, if you will, faster than warp speed, if you will. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna share my screen because I think it's kind of cool. Oh, I'm gonna have to shrink up my UI a little bit here. So something came up today. Apparently, CanSec West. This is cromulent to my questions because I have a Tesla. So these folks, bunch of white dudes, hacked Tesla at Pwn to Own. They took home a Tesla 3 and $200,000, but I understand that there was an infotainment bug that in the Tesla that actually confirmed, where was it? Where was it? Time of check, time of use exploit, right? Oh, you know what? Forgot also to change it to software developer, software and game development. There we go. All right. And Golang. There we go. Golang beginner. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, dunk. So one of the other things that came out of this was, um, I don't know if it's this team, but it was another team had actually. Let me see. CanSec West. Tesla. I saw the news story. So they have what's called a level 2 type vulnerability, or a level 2 type prize. Let's see, where is it? Model S prizes, uh, wireless charging platform. They actually got the team that found the bug actually got $250,000. Level 2. Damn, why did I put 2023? Anyway, so they it was a tweet that I saw earlier today, but apparently this was the first level 2 or tier 2 vulnerability that they've been able to find at CanSec West for anything, and the people took them $250,000. So pretty awesome. It had to deal with out of bounds error, I think. Maybe I have the twit. Maybe I have the twit. Maybe I have the tweet um, from that. Let's see. Tesla trending. So, how's everyone doing? How's everyone doing? How was your Friday? I hope everyone's doing okay. There's a lot of new rounds of layoffs I heard coming. Sadly, this week was not a fun time for folks at big organizations like Amazon and those. So if you're involved with that, I sympathize with you, and it's not easy, being found out that your job has been made redundant. So hope you're doing okay, and if you're here and you're had nothing to do this week except finding a new job, I look forward to hoping to take some of that off your mind here. So let me see, CanSec, hacking skills, gleaming Model 3. Model 3s aren't bad. I mean, the CEO's a nuthatch, but the cars are somewhat nice. Let's see, 35K in a car. Yeah. It sucks. If anybody has the tweet talking about the level 2 issue, then please feel free to post that up. Kansas West tier 2, I think tier 2 or level 2. Let me see. No, not finding anything on searching for that. So shit. Wow. Okay. Cabo San Lucas. Oh, okay. So my friend Jen is in Cabo right now. So lucky her. I don't get to be that awesome. So what in the hell? Okay, so uh yeah. Let me see. I'm trying to figure out why. So I'm broadcasting. So the something new that I'm doing today is I'm trying to set up the virtual camera and audio in our Discord chat so that people could come and hang out if they want to join me. The problem with it is, if you look at the camera in the chat channel, it's reversed. It's like landscaped, in reverse. And I don't, why is it doing that? I don't know. Um, I mean, I look fine, but that's because it's reversed. So the only way I can make it look nice is if I flip everything around, and that's going to look reverse for everybody who's on the Twitch. So we won't do that. But if anybody joins the Discord voice chat or the voice channel where I'm currently broadcasting, I do apologize for the weirdness of the text. So we'll work on that. But I'm just trying to learn the logistics of that right now. So all right, so we are going to be learning some Golang stuff. Hey, Beta Wolf, how you doing? Uh, not too bad. Just hanging out, enjoying Friday, and um, it's definitely been a minute. It's definitely been a week. We just had the realtor in at 12:30 Pacific our time to look at our house. Tuesday, we're supposed to, or tomorrow, the landscaping folks come to make our house look pretty. Tuesday, they're going to be taking photos of the inside of our house. So my entire Tuesday afternoon, I'm going to have to be not here. So I won't probably have a stream on Tuesday. It'll be Wednesday to hang out with y'all because I have to be out of the house for 3 hours. So that's, pretty much what we're going to be doing for Tuesday. And then Friday hopefully we'll be doing this again on Friday. But Saturday and Sunday is a bunch of strange people walking through my house, deciding whether or not they want to purchase it. So that's what our weekend is going to look like on April 1st and 2nd. So no joke, no fooling. So you know what? Let's go look up. Now that I'm all focused on this shite, I want to. I think it came from the ZDI folks. So let's see. Day 3 highlights. Master of Pwn points. 30,000. Stars team. Ooh, stars. Okay. $1 million. 475,000. 30,000 for that. Looks like a lot of good stuff coming out. Oh, here you go. Here it is. Day 2 highlights. David Berard and Vincent Dehars of Synactive achieved the first ever Tier 2 award at Pwn to Own against Tesla's infotainment unconfined root. So, yeah, that was the infotainment root capabilities there. So, let me see what's it look like. Okay, you can't hear that audio, so let's see. Okay, so they used a heap overflow and an out of bounds right to exploit Tesla's infotainment unconfined root. Okay, so it's those folks, the same team as before, and they got root on the infotainment system on the car. They qualified for a Tier 2 award, $250,000, and 25 Master of Pwn points. I don't know what that means. We haven't listed it yet, Beta Wolf. We're still keying in on that. Monday, as a matter of fact, we're supposed to have a Zoom with our realtor person to review that and what that means and what the pricing is. So if you looked at the address and the Zillow uh, pictures that are on there, it's of what was there 9 years ago. So we've, remodeled the kitchen, took out all the carpet, painted everything. No, it's not the going price for mine. 1.2 million doll hairs. Yeah, gross. I don't need doll hair. I need cold hard cash because we're making a lot of changes to our house in San Diego. So, um, but yeah, oh, there's Percy. Sorry, Percy, I'm gonna have to decline your call. So, so yeah, if you're here for the, oh wait, I actually didn't finish my twitch.tv/breaksec. There we go. Okay. There we go. Gotta advertise myself, otherwise folks won't. I think we're looking somewhere around in the 850, 860 range kind of thing. And then, a realtor who could sell ice to a penguin and bargain a soul back from the devil, uh, was telling me, it's all about the art of negotiation at that point. And so some of the things, some of his playbook, he was showing us some of his playbook on how he does things. If somebody offers a cash offer versus, financing or what have you, he'll, he never tells them a price. He just says your biggest and your best, or whatever that he mentions. And they're like, it's almost like negotiating your salary when folks are like, don't tell people what you want, because the minute you give them a range, like I'm looking for anywhere between, 75 to 90, the company's going to offer 75, but you're expecting 90, right? So it's like you always say things like, I will, I'm looking for what the market is, expecting, that kind of, or like, what is what is fair market value kind of thing. You don't ever give them a number, because once you do, you've given them a point from which to work with, and they will either, go lower or they'll go higher. And so, and mostly lower, because they want you as cheaply as possible. And if you say 75, and then, the actual price of the job, range was anywhere between 100 to 125, they've saved $50,000 by hiring you at $75,000. So never tell people what you're looking for. I used to be like, well, I'm making 85 now, I'm going to add 20,000 to it. And I've probably bid myself out of several jobs from doing that, because, or, I've, made it easier for them to shortchange me, or, and what have you. So, um, so yeah, don't ever tell people what you're looking for in terms of cost. Just say fair market value, or, something to that effect. Don't give them a number. I always hate when they ask you how much I was making. I'll pay your fair market value for your house if you throw in your home lab. Well, Ring Zed, I don't have anything in my house right now. My office has my desk, an empty bookshelf, uh, and a gaming chair in the corner. I pretty much sold all of my lab stuff. I have one Think Center that I've got packed away. But yeah, fair market value for our house. Yeah, it's a weird thing. So, um, we're going to be one of those people that have a sign in our front yard for God knows how long. But our moving out date is still the 24th of June, so we're still within about 94, 95 days. So anyway, I want to go ahead and get started. So for those of you who've been following along, okay, what you can't see in the background is it's what, the 24th of March, and it's freaking snowing. You paid for this site, right? Paid for what site? Oh, this one? I don't know yet. I seem to remember there being some tutorials. Yeah, well, it's Grapple, so it's actually, people would call it hail, but it's like really tiny hail. I mean, I actually like walking around in this because it's technically precipitation, but I'm not getting wet. So, I want to. There was a site that I went to Golang tutorials. I think I may have picked a different one. Let me see. Go.dev. Is it tutorials point? Maybe I was thinking of tutorials point. No, that's an ugly, ugly, ugly site. Slackify. We finished the W3 school stuff, and to be fair, um, yeah, sure, I can do that. So it's break B, or is it break B? Let me see. Uh, I'll find it. Let me see favorites. Uh, favorite, yeah, there it is. So I'm Brian Break at Mastodon.social. So not on infosec.exchange because that's where all the cool kids hang out. And as you can see, I don't follow anybody because I don't treat Mastodon like I treat Twitter. So hey, WebClex, thank you for being first time chatter. I appreciate you. Um, but yeah, I don't follow anybody because I follow hashtags. So I find that I get a better visibility. So if you're not tweeting, if you're not tooting, I don't know, tooting, you're not using, like hashtags like security or cybersecurity or infosec or threat intel or natsec or those kinds of things. I don't see you. And then of course there's the folks that like to spam infosec tags for those things. But anyway, so yeah, these, I follow various tags all over the place. And of course, I have some for threat modeling and some RPG games and stuff that I like to check out as well. Twitch streamers. That one's a bit, yeah, I probably need to get rid of that one. But yeah, I follow a number of hashtags. So, um, it makes it easier to catch real content instead of people just throwing up a bunch of garbage. And if they throw up garbage and throw up an infosec tag, I can easily mute them and I never see them again ever. So it's nice. Golang tutorials. So we finished the W3 schools, and there was one I was actually looking at. Is that it? Had a button. No, that's not it either. This one had a dark. Go by example. No. Damn it. Lotion. Code Academy. Hacker. Learn Golang. That's Central. I hope it wasn't Tutorial Edge because, like Beta Wolf said, yeah. I thought it was Tutorial Edge, but maybe it's this one here. Yeah, I thought they had like intermediate, kind of things. It looked like along the side here, it was like you could. There was a number of different things. I just forget what the site was. So let me pull that off to the side here and look at my history real quick. Manage history. And then Golang in the last 7 days. No, yeah, last 7 days. Tutorial Edge, Go Tutorials, Tutorials Point. I probably have it bookmarked. I'm just really, really good about not checking my bookmarks. REST APIs with Golang. Because it had a bunch of things, not just like building a REST API with Golang. I was looking at that one. Let me see. InfoSec exercises. REST API and PHP. Yeah. All right. Well, screw it. Yeah, this kind of looks like it. I think I just had it on. I think that's what I think I had it. Yeah, set like, okay, that's what it was. So yeah, Tutorial Edge. You know, Tutorial Edge has a number of different sites. Yeah, my problem was I didn't have the dark mode enabled, global dark mode. So um, they go through a number of different things. So there's some beginner stuff that they have that W3 schools didn't have, and so I was going to go through and look at some of these items. I don't know how an interfaces tutorial is a beginner mode kind of thing, but we can. Oh, is that how they got me? I just looked at those things and didn't realize that it was a subscriber only thing. That sucks ass. Bastards. That's what I get. All right, well, we'll go straight to the source. Here's some tutorials on Go from go.dev, and we'll just use that. Tutorials. So getting started, creating a module, a multi-part tutorial that introduces common programming language features from the Go perspective. Okay. So I I feel like this is at the point where I'm trying to apply what I've learned to Golang, right? And without using something like Stack Overflow or like what most developers do, and they copy paste shit. Um, this is what I wanted to do was create a bot in Go that would work in Discord to do things. That was one of the things that came up when I was looking around for things to do. So there's a Discord bot in Go, and there was, here. So here's dev.to mentions, learning Go by examples, creating a bot in Discord and Go. And there's multiple sites like this, like an advent calendar kind of thing, where it's like 30 days of Go, and each day you learn a new thing. So there's different examples. You can create a HTTP REST API server in Go, part of a 10-part series. So yeah, there's a number of different things we're going to do here, and I think it's probably good to start with the people that create things. So I'm going to start up my. Shrink this up a bit. Okay. Shrinking. Okay. So hopefully that page is still useful. I'm going to shrink up my VS Code bits. Don't mind that style sheet. I was just trying to create a style sheet that would work with Markdown. So, so we'll continue with our Golang tutorials here. And I'll move that over. Oh, wait, I will move that over. So we've got everything we need here. Okay. All right. So getting started with Go. All right. So the tutorial includes the following sections. We're going to design an API endpoint, create a folder for your code, creating the data, writing a handler to return all new items, write a handler to add a new item. Oh, by the way, here is the link if you want to follow along. And they say you can also try the interactive tutorial in Google Cloud Shell, which is great, I guess. Sorry, I've been talking a lot today. So wait, what site are you currently using for intermediate stuff? Well, I was going to use the the break sec. Thank you, Age of Music. I appreciate that. I did joke with my wife that because I'm an internet celebrity, that should add value to my house, but my wife doesn't see it that way. For the intermediate stuff, to be honest, Beta Wolf, I think this is probably intermediate for me. So go.dev, the doc, the tutorials for web services, that's going to be, I think, fairly intermediate for me because it's going to teach some concepts like, additional bits. So there's going to be, modules, and there's going to be code, and there's going to be fun things that are going to come out of this. So let me maximize my screen space. All right. So I'm going to create a folder for my code. So I'm going to go and make a new folder. We're going to call it go.dev web service gen. Don't put any spaces in my project folders if at all possible, because I like myself, and I don't want to be oh, so the lawn people are early. So apologies if you hear any snow blowing or cutting of bushes or what have you. So So prerequisites, Go of 1.16 or later, check. So this is like your mise en place, right? Your prerequisites, your mise en place when you're cooking. It's like you have everything in a nice little container. You know, you have all your carrots cut up, you have your mirepoix, you have your carrots, your onions, and your celery. You have your salt. You have everything in one place so that you can easily grab it. So your prerequisites are like when you're cooking. Or you know, in this case, for some folks, you have your hot pocket. You have it in a in the container, and you're going to shove it in the microwave. So the prerequisites are: you must have a microwave, you must have a hot pocket, you must have the little container with which the hot pocket will cook itself, or not cook, depending on that. Um, Never met a food that could be molten hot and ice cold at the same time. So, Age of Music, yeah. Yeah, Hot Pocket was one of those things. It's like you can microwave it for 3 minutes. It'll be frozen in the middle, but molten lava on the outside. And I don't know how they managed to do that. May have changed in the last 20 years, but yeah, it's super weird. All right, so we do have 1.16 or later, as referenced by new file, uh, file.go. I can always change it later. Uh, As you can see, we're activating extensions because it recognized that I had a Go file, and we are running 1.20.2. There's probably an update here. I'm seeing the little bit next to it. There may be an update, but at least we're running greater than 1.16. A tool to edit your code. Any text editor you have will work fine. Yeah, somebody mentioned, I think in the last time, I've seen videos where people are using only VI, or, they use Notepad++, or any text editor with Notepad. When you save those things, just make sure you're saving them in a safe method, and that you're, saving them with the proper extension. Sometimes, depending on how Windows goes, it'll go, you could name it file.go when it's actually file.go.text or something. So if you save it, when you save as, make sure that you're changing like the file type at the bottom to all files, and then you make it a .go file. Or you can just go in and edit it after the fact and just call it a .go file. Command terminal. So Go works well with any terminal on Linux and Mac, or on PowerShell or CMD and Windows. If you're using something, I'm using VS Code because that's what I've learned to use. I've used Atom, I've used several, but this one kind of has everything that I need or want. It is a bit heavy-handed if you've never used an IDE before, but this one has a built-in terminal that you can use. Where's my terminal? Oh, there it is. New terminal. So yeah, Golang. Yep. So there's the terminal. It's running in PowerShell. So there's the PS showing PowerShell. I could also run Linux, I believe, as well. So I can run git bash terminal because I have git installed, because I'm uploading this to my repos on GitHub. Command prompt is CMD. If you're using Podman, which is kind of the Docker, the free Docker, because Docker's pooched it. I guess they have one for that as well. I have Ubuntu 22 installed for WSL2, and then I don't know what JavaScript debug terminal is, but that's a thing too. I guess if you wanted to run multiple terminals at once, you could do so as well. But the idea is that you're going to run or execute this code eventually in the terminal. So, in this case, go run something. And then the curl tool. So curl, see what I mean? They're trimming our hedges and stuff. So the curl tool, Mac and Linux should already be installed. On Windows, it's also installed. So let me see, curl. Okay, so curl's installed. I ran curl. It gave me that. It didn't say file not found. If it was in, so curl -v. Okay, so curl 7.8.3.1. If I was running WSL, the Unix one, Hot Pocket. I'm sorry, I didn't. Yeah. So all right. So Ubuntu 22.4. So you can run curl. It's installed here too. Curl V. So I have 7.8.1 here. So that's another option. So go back to the PowerShell one. Yeah, huge difference. Beta Wolf, I plan on either making or buying myself a cool macro keyboard for programming. Keep to open VS Code and then other keys for terminal, push, PRs, etc. Um, so it's interesting you mentioned that because there's gaming keyboards. You can create macros and stuff like that. You can actually you could use a Stream Deck if you wanted to. I mean it's a little pricier option. By the time you bought a macro keyboard or what have you, it's probably going to be about the same cost as one of these. So, I mean the most up to date version. I have the biggest one because I don't know how to do anything any better than that. But there's one with what 15 potential, 15 keys on it, and it will match itself to different macros. So you could have one that opens VS Code, for instance. Um, you could have one automatically open up terminal. You could have it open, do whatever you want. Ideally, when I get my office set up back in San Diego, I'll be using it to do things with OBS or what have you. So it's always an option. It, by the time you buy something like a Cherry keyboard or whatever, I don't tend to eat at my desk, but you never know. Sometimes it's good to flip your laptop, your keyboard upside down and see what else you got for dinner. I could build out the macro board for less than $50. That's fair. That's fair. I mean, I would love to see what that looks like. If you make a video of that, we can always show it here on the screen. So, all right. So we're going to design some endpoints. You'll build an API that provides access to a store selling vintage records on vinyl. Okay. So you'll need to provide endpoints through which a client can get and add albums for users. Okay. When developing an API, you typically begin by designing the endpoints. See, that was something that I also thought about as well. It's like I know Go, but what's the process to build an application look like? And it sounds like they're going to take you through that, designing the endpoints and how things work. So what they have here is they have /albums, which is one of the endpoints, with activities or actions is going to be to get a list of albums returned as a JSON blob, and then post. So you're going to add a new album from request data sent as JSON. I'm assuming get and post are all you're going to need. Ideally, you might want to design a delete function, which would make changes to the JSON blob. You can get items ID, so colon ID, so you can get an album by its ID, returning the album data as JSON. So the JSON blob is going to have numerous attributes. So it's going to have like album, artist name. You might have, is it a compilation album or has various artists in it, where you have like a, maybe it's a soundtrack or something. And it's got multiple artists in it. It might be similar to like ID3 tags. What's it? 3 metadata tags. Okay, so all of these would be various fields in your JSON blob. So you'd have a header, or maybe you wouldn't have a header, but you'd have like a title, artist, album year, a comment. You might have track names. You might have a genre. You might have enhanced tags. So like how long the song is, or what's on that song is. If it's an album that is a bootleg or something like my wife reminded me of Red Rocks or something like that. Like if you had a Dave Matthews Band CD that was a concert CD or something like that, or an album versus a studio album with all the same songs on it, you'd have to denote that or something. So there's different ways you can edit those tags. There's whole databases based on ID3 tags that you can pull. Grace Note, I think, is one of the largest ones they have. So you can pull that information down, and it's in a nice JSON blob that you can use for that. So did I just Yes, I did. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay. So next you'll create a folder for your code. To begin, create a project for the code you'll write. Now I did it in VS Code, but for you, you could right click on your desktop, or go into your terminal. You can say, there we go. MK dir, you know, uh, I don't know, music, something like that. You could just make dir music, or create a new file somewhere in Windows. You can do the same thing for Apple, or your favorite iDevices that need a command line is very much like Linux. All right, so I've created the folder for the project, CD home path, what have you. Make dir file, CD to that directory, create a module with which you can create dependencies. Okay, so I need to go cd go dot dev. All right, I'm gonna close that so we can see that much better way. So it says create a module in which you can manage dependencies. Okay, that's cool. So from a security point of view, as a security person, I'm like, yes, we should manage our dependencies. We should know what dependencies we have when we're building our application, because supply chain security is a real thing. Not knowing which applications or dependencies you have is somewhat important. Oh, well, I'm just okay. Let me kill some stuff here. There we go. So we're going to, okay, so I did that. So we're going to, let's see, go. Oh, wait, let me cd go. Yeah. I don't know why. There we go. All right, so we're going to go mod init. Wait a minute. So, oh, I see. Okay, okay. I screwed that up. So cd dot dot. All right, so it will be go init, and then the directory is the one that we originally created for the project. So it's going to be dot / go dev. Oh, Krisnap. Okay, sorry, my bad. Go mod init. Yeah, go mod init. Malformed module path. Okay, maybe you don't need all that additional bit. So add module requirements and sums go mod tiny. Okay. Okay. Nothing bad happened. Okay. But it didn't give me, oh, it did give me the same output here. Creating new go.mod example web service gen. All right, so if I go cd go dot and then ls, okay, we have one called file.go, but I don't see anything else. This command creates a go.mod file in which dependencies you'll add will be listed for tracking. Okay, so that didn't work for me. Why didn't that not work? This is for Terraform. This for Terraform is super important. Oh, good point. Good point, Beta Wolf. Especially if you're trying to build this in a like for a Docker kind of thing, where it's like you need to build the app the same way over and over and over and over again. You'll need to know what dependencies are necessary in this case. All right, so I've pooched something. So I need to go. Okay, so I make the directory. I cd into that directory. So cd. All right, let me try to follow the instructions. Go mod init. Why would I call it example? So, So if I do init, I don't know what example means. Is example the directory that I'm in, or okay. Well, let me just, I'm going to delete all this when I'm done anyway, just for shits and giggles. So let's go ahead and do that. Go dot. I think what they're trying to do is if example is like your home directory. So I'm gonna put go.dev web. See, I immediately regret already putting this long ass title for my project name. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay, there's my go.mod. All right, excellent. Let me close this. So yeah, go.mod is there. So it did in fact create that. I don't know what go.mod tidy is. Maybe that deletes the original file. Let me just. Okay, so it didn't delete it. Okay, so more go.mod. Okay, so far the only dependency in this case is Go version 1.20, which makes sense. That's the version I'm using. So ideally, and this could go either way, if you're using version 1.30, I'm hoping what it will say is, oh, you're better than 1.20, you're good to go, or something like that. So if you build this for the future, it's looking for go.1.20 or better to be able to build these items out. So okay, so create the data. To keep things simple for the tutorial, you'll store the data in memory. A more typical API would interact with a database, correct? So you'd also need to stand up a database like a PG-SQL or a MySQL or a MariaDB, or if you want to be, I guess, Hadoop or NoSQL or something like that. Note that storing memory data in memory means that the set of albums will be lost each time you stop the server, then recreated when you start it. Using your text editor, create a file called main.go. All right, so we're going to create main.go. Oh, that's because I'm an idiot. So main.go should always be. So I'm just going to rename this to main.go. There we go. Interesting. So put, oh, I see. I see. Okay, so I can probably delete that one. Okay. We'll see what happens there. If you're just joining, I appreciate you coming and watching a complete noob try to build an API for the first time. So thank you for humoring me. If you get bored, I don't know what to tell you. There's cookies and milk, and oh yeah, that delightful sound is my lawn folks getting everything prepped for our house sell next week, or our house showing next week. So, all right, we're going to write the code. So into main.go, which I've just renamed file.go to main.go, because you're only supposed to have one main in each directory, because each directory is a project. So at the top of the file, paste the following declaration. Package main. Okay. A standalone program as opposed to a library is always in package main. It doesn't sound right, but okay. I don't know why I'm saying that doesn't sound right. These are the folks that actually created Go, or at least the website for it. So I'm going to call that good. All right, so struct tags. We talked about structs before in the W3 lab stuff. W3 schools. Golang. I'll refer back to the tutorial that we originally had done with Golang. Okay, so we have, okay, there we are, structs. So structs, when we talked about them, were structures used to create a collection of members of different data types. We did a number of them. So we're going to create, the 4 data types, right? We had ints, booleans, floats, and ints, booleans, floats, and strings. Ints, booleans, floats, and strings. Those are the 4. Getting confused by all of the additional bits here. We'll go through this one eventually too. I have it bookmarked. So, just in case you want to go through it ahead of time because you're cool like that, dev.to is available. There you go. You can poke on that one for a bit too if you get bored. All right, so the structs are being created. Here are the various structs. So we have a string. So the JSON ID, title is going to be a string, artist is going to be a string, and the price is going to be a float. So float has a dot. Typically, you're going to buy an album in this case, vinyl, maybe like $25.05. So it'll be 25.05. An integer would be, it's straight $25 or something like that. So, so we're going to have, so the dash dash are their version of comments. Same thing for HTML, same thing for Python, and others. I believe it's the only way I learned how to do remarks is // // So represents data about a record album. Period. All right, so type album, and then struct. Struct keeps coming off of my tongue weirdly, so ID. See, I'm used to, so just to give you a heads up, when we did the examples in class, it was all package main, import FMT, and then we learned the struct. So I feel like I'm missing like import FMT. So I'm going to put that in anyway, even though the folks at go.dev did not. I'm going to go ahead and put that in because I feel like I'm missing that. I feel naked without it. So I'm going to put that in. And all that's going to do is just like a style sheet to properly format the code in your Go file. It won't actually do anything wrong if you add the structs here as is. So it will just better represent the data that's in the system here. Back to Well, hello, disparaging GR. Thank you for following me. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Come on in. Enjoy the, dulcet tones of my voice or something. We're playing around with a little bit of Go today. String / JSON title. So if you're like, hey, why don't you just copy paste that? Not to Yodify it too much, but that leads to the dark side. You want to start copy pasting and taking shortcuts all the time, and so I'm gonna pay my dues as a developer type wannabe ish, and set these things accordingly. So. All right, and so each one of these is strings. You don't actually, well, I don't want to say that actually because that's not correct. This helps define what the types of data are going to be. You can go forever and ever and ever on these things. Like I said before, you can go as many fields as you want to. You just have to classify them accordingly. So length in this case would be, I always type it out. I feel I actually learned that way. You're absolutely right, Beta Wolf. A lot of people say, writing down things, you actually put them to memory because you're associating an action to the mental process inside. So if anything, I'm typing with my fingers. So artist and then price float 64, which is interesting because that's a really big number. You could probably get away with float 32. And then later on, if you find out you've got an album that's expensive enough to need a float 64, you could do that. Because a float 64, as we found out in, let's see, data types. Yeah, float 32. Let's see. Like that one Wu-Tang album, exactly. So Beta Wolf, I saw an article today. I don't know if it's true, but they said some researchers said you're actually, what was it? Scientists, Wu-Tang. Where was it? Yeah, there you go. Oh no, nope, my bad. Back it up. Jizza, yeah. Yeah, there it is. Scientists claim that people who listen to Wu-Tang are smarter. Here's something that, yeah, I was like, okay, that's, Wu-Tang Financial, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, so they said SAT average scores 1,000 to 1,100 mark. Unsurprisingly, most hip hop listeners fit into this range. So there you go. Um, it's the science that we all need right now. I'm sure Jizza and Riza are all happy about that, and much loved ODB. Um, so we have our struct, and so beneath the struct, we'll have a the struct is the declaration. So this declares what is in the structure, the data structure in this case. In this case, the JSON blob that will be created. And then underneath the declaration we've added, I'm not going to paste it. I'm going to try to type it in as much as I can. The slice of albums structs containing the data you will use. So we'll go down under here. So we've got albums slice to seed record album data var albums. And so we're setting a variable called albums. Now, if we wanted to, you can, well, actually, you can. So what we're doing here on this side, at least, is we're creating basically database records, right? We've by having our data structure, all a database really is a data structure. So in this case, we're denoting fields, we're denoting columns in the database, and we'll be putting in records. So our uniqueifier, or the ID, is the uniqueifier for being able to do a query. So I want to look up, you know, uh, select all files where ID equals 1 or something like that. It loses something in the translation, but the idea is when you do a database query and you looked for ID number 1, it will give you John Coltrane, title Blue Train, price $56.99. If you said, select all, select star from, albums, then it's going to dump the entire database. Depending on how you have it put into place, it's going to show up in a well formatted area. So equals, and then okay, space album. I could have probably used this when I was building my. One of the things I had to do was get rid of a bunch of CDs, and I ended up, burning them through, iTunes so that I could have them available in a lossless format. So I picked M4A, which is not as good as FLAC, but it is what it is. John Coltrane. As you can tell, I'm not. Oh, geez. As you can tell, I'm not a professional typist. I don't do 100 words a minute. I still peck at the keyboard. My inebriation actually does make me a better typist. I don't know why that is, but it is. All right, so I've done one of them to save you all the pain and anguish of me typing things out a lot. I will capitulate some form, and hello, Lady P. Thank you so much for joining today. Oh my God, yes, you're absolutely correct. Muscles tend to relax while intoxicated. Intoxication, stoned, whatever. All right, so the one thing I did notice at the end of the third ID, or the third record in this case, is they still put the comma in there at the end of each one of these. I don't know if that's good or not. I'm assuming you're using the commas at the end of each one of those to separate the records out, with the idea that if you don't put this comma in, you put in yet another record, you'll run into some issues. So I'm assuming you'll want to keep that in. That's not a typo. Unlike some of the stuff we saw in W3 schools where there were in fact typos, this is probably you're wanting to keep that comma in there as a matter of course. It's like, there may be more. It's almost like saying there may be more records coming, instead of like, this is all of the data that's going to be in this system. And there may be ways around that. I don't know. That's my guess. So, okay. So we're gonna. It says next you'll write code to implement your first endpoint. Well, hello, buddy in Libin. Buddy in Libin. Okay. Appreciate you. Thank you for coming by and hanging out. I'm gonna post up I don't think I posted the link to this yet, so we will go ahead and do that. This is the actual Go website. So like the people who created Go. It's almost like, having the Python website or, somebody like that coming in. So, um, so we're going to write a handler to return all items. So when the client makes a request at get albums, so in this case, like if you go to, www.music.com/albums, that's a request from the browser to go to www.albums.music.com/albums. It's going to go to that site. There's going to be an API endpoint called albums that the web server will be like, oh, yes, that site exists. And I'm going to give you the information from that API endpoint. So when you make the request to albums, it will return all the albums as JSON because we've asked it to do so. I'm assuming you can tell it to struct as, I don't know, could you do it in XML? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm assuming that they're, as long as it's a universal output. So what we did was, each one of these has a ID, a title, an artist, and a price. If you wanted to not have anything in there, I'm assuming you could, fill that field with nothing. So you might put an underscore or something where the title of the artist is, maybe you have an album, you know the name, but you don't know who actually did it. Hello, Lady P. Oh, thank you so much, Lady P. Thank you so much. For those of you who might actually follow us from podcast days, I've suspended the Patreon because, one, I felt bad about not really using it other than as a tip jar. And I felt like our Patreon supporters who, help us out on a monthly basis and don't get really any value from it, I felt bad. So I've given them opportunities or other things that they can do to help support us if they'd like to. Otherwise, I've just thanked them, and my company will be happy to get that $5 back, I'm sure. Well, tell them you're helping an underadvantaged, security person find a better job as a Twitch streamer or something. I don't know. Make it a charity case, if you will. All right. So to do this, you'll write the logic to prepare a response and code to map the request path to your logic. Okay. Okay. Note that this is the reverse of how they'll be executed at runtime, but you're adding dependencies first, then the code that depends on them. Okay. All right. You'll write the code. All right. So beneath the struct code, wait, let me see. So this must be the struct code here. This is weird. We're actually like writing this in different ways. So I think that what they want is they want that where the struct code is. So they want this part here. This get albums function creates a JSON from the slice of album structs. Okay, so that's the album structs. Writing the JSON into the response. Okay, so yeah, so we're creating that. Okay, all right. Get albums responds with the list of all albums as JSON. And if you call it JSON, that's fine. I just see it as JSON, like, Jason and the Argonauts or, what have you. I don't think there's anything wrong either way, but, I'm sure somebody will tell me if that's not true. So, all right, C space gen dot context. So I don't know what, wait, so gen dot context. Okay, I don't know what that is yet. I'm hoping that as we scroll down, we'll get to whatever gen dot context is. There might be some other bits that we don't know about yet. So be patient, or you can follow along here. Maybe double joink. There we go. So func is get albums, or function in this case, func, and then c dot indented JSON HTTP status okay albums. Oh, all lowercase. Everything is all lowercase. That's right. It's case sensitive, case sensitive, case sensitive. All right. So in this case, this is probably going to be an HTTP kind of connection. If you're using this in any kind of production environment or any place that isn't your home computer or home lab, make sure you're using TLS. Make sure you've got a certificate. Let's Encrypt is still cheap, meaning free. So don't ever put out an API that doesn't have some kind of TLS encryption on it, preferably 1.3. And also make sure that you have a valid certificate. So, all right. So it's going to explain this to us. There we go. In this code, you write a get albums function that takes in a gen.context parameter. Okay, so there's a hyperlink here for that. Gen.context. I didn't see a gen.context anywhere here. Let me redo that. Gen.context. Oh, the whole package is gen. Okay, so we really are. So at some point we're going to be adding up here at the top, I'm imagining a module that's called gen, in this case, GIN. And so this is the whole discussion of what gen is. And right, okay, so gen is a web framework written in Go. There you go. It features a Martini-like API. I don't know what that is. With performance up to 40 times faster than thanks to HTTP router. If you need performance and good productivity, you will love gen. Okay. Key features: zero allocation router, fast, middleware support, crash free. Let's just wait. I tend to make the crashable uncrashable or uncrashable crashable. So JSON validation, roots grouping, error management, rendering built-in, and extendable. So there you go. Now 116 plus is required. Okay, so if you're running an older version of Go, 112, something like that, you're going to need, you'll need to run at least the latest version of that. What is this? Error loading workspace. Go polls was not able to find modules in your workspace when outside of Go path. Go PLS needs to know which modules you're working on. You can fix this bug. Okay. Well, I'm hoping we'll fix that eventually. Maybe it's crapping out on the gen.context because I've added the import stuff there. One of the things about VS Code or FMT is it's kind of like a linter or something. It's going to format your stuff in such a way so that you'll have to ask those questions. Note that you could have had given this function any name. Neither gen nor Go require particular function name format. Oh, okay. So I could have called it. Oh, yeah. I could have called it, Brian's albums or, super duper hyper mega ultra Go or something like that. Unless you're a Java developer, that would be a more than applicable name for your function. But in this case, we're just getting albums. So I just kind of figured your code looked like it was written by a hockey mask wearing machete wielding psychopath. Yeah, well, his name is Jason, not Jason. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so gen.context is the most important part of gen. It carries request details, validates, and serializes JSON and more. Despite the similar name, this is different from Go's built-in context package. It's interesting that they have to make that delineation or difference. Oh my, okay. So we're going to call context.indentedJSON to serialize the struct into JSON and add it to the response. Okay. So that's the other code we're going to add here. Oh, cool. So it's so basically gen, gen the bits that we were talking about earlier, the web framework is almost like calling when you have Python and you can run a simple web server or simple HTTP server. So gen is kind of like that. Kind of cool. Okay. So the first argument is to the HTTP status code that you want to send to the client. Here you're passing status OK, which is 200. We've learned about that in previous streams um, from the net HTTP package. Note that you can replace context.indentedJSON with a call to context.json to send more compact JSON. Okay, there's a lot of JSON in there. So in practice, the indented form is much easier to work with when debugging, and the size difference is usually small. So yeah, you'll. I'm guessing what it'll do is it'll it'll have the ID string, and then it'll indent the title, the artist, and the price, or something similar to that. All right, so near the top of main.go, just beneath the album's slice declaration. Okay, well, here's that album slice declaration. Paste the code below. Okay, so we're gonna go here. We're gonna hit that. So func main, funky, router. Okay, so we've talked about the walrus before. It's allowing Go to decide what the output is, or interprets that based on, if there's double quotes around a number of characters, it's considered a string. If it has a dot with some at the end, it's a float. If it's an integer, it's just a straight up number. And if it's a Boolean, it's true, false. So it's going to make that determination itself based on the type of data that it sees. So gen.default router get, capital get, albums, get albums, and then router.run localhost 8080. All right, there we go. And then, so there we have our ending bit right there. So like that. This is interesting. I think that it doesn't like that for some reason. I found that, and that's the expected declaration. It looks like it's It looks like it's orphaned, so I will probably just remove it in that case. All right. In this code, you initialize a gen router using defaults. So here's the gen router. So gen router being the module. We're going to use the module gen. We're going to use the get function, which is the activity. So this is one of the activities that is available. So router get to associate the get HTTP function with calling this endpoint. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. So if we did a put in here, it would be something similar, but the get and the put functions are mentioned in gen, so as how to do things. Note that you're passing the name of the get albums function. This is different from passing the result of the function, which you would do by passing get albums and asking for all of that. Note the parentheses. Okay. Okay. So we're just passing get albums function, right? So albums, get albums in this case right here. So we're going to be, where's the get out? Oh yeah, here's the function get albums, gen context, and then it's going to indent the JSON here and send you a status 200. So status is good, if the status is okay, so it's going to send a 200 and it's going to send albums. So in this case, albums is this, and so that makes sense. Okay, cool. It makes sense to me. Any questions? Anybody got any questions? I have I have a lot of viewers for me. So anybody have any questions on what I've created thus far, and we can walk through it. I'm learning like you are, so if you have any questions, it's not stupid. I will probably have to look it up myself. So please feel free to ask questions. We're all noobs here except for Lady P. She's awesome. So just keep an eye out on her. All right. So number 3, near the top of main.go. So main.go near the top, just beneath the package declaration. All right. So this is the package declaration, package main. Import the packages you'll need to support the code you've just written. first line of code should look like this: package main and then import. So we need package main import. So in this case, we will put, say, so they don't suggest you put in FMT in this case. So you're only putting in import. I will do that and then do that. So what I will do is I'll hit that, and then I go /net, no, sorry, net, net /HTTP. And then they want you to add a white space, I guess, and then put github.com/gin. I'm not a fan of that. I mean, I'm sure that's how things work all the time. Oh, interesting. Okay, I'm sure that will settle itself out, but let's see if that site actually does exist. Copy. Okay, so it does in fact exist. This is the website for those of you who want to go poke around in a GitHub repo. It's a HTTP framework written in Go. It features Martini-like env. I don't know what Martini-like means because I don't know what Martini is. I'm assuming there's one called Martini out there that does something different. Somebody thought, well, I can do better. Built gin. So, or simplified Martini because they didn't like Martini. Whatever. So, yeah, so there's that. There's a lot of information in here. You can go and poke around on that if you'd like. All right. Close that, close that, close that. The other one we put in was, of course, net HTTP. Provides HTTP client server implementations. So get, head, post, and post forms. So those are the get, head, and post are HTTP verbs, right? Post, get, put, patch, and delete. And they do CRUD operations. So we're not doing full CRUD operations because I guess you could put and erase. I guess if you have get and put, you would have the ability to modify or delete existing records and add stuff to it. Those are the CRUD operations for HTTP verbs. And so we've added those things. We've done that. So I think we've got everything in the proper format and where everything needs to be. So what they want you to do is save. So for me on VS Code, I just hit Control S. And as you can see, everything gets formatted properly. I actually want to put back in FMT because, you know, I like stuff. Is that the shaken or stir? I don't know. I don't drink martinis. I don't know if my wife likes hers shaken or stirred. I'm assuming shaken is the only way because, you know, you use a lot of spoons and stuff otherwise. Hey, Walt, what's up? How you doing? And then we save it again. Oh, that's really weird. He got rid of the FMT bit. That's really weird. I wonder why I did that. What's going on here? It's imported but not used. I see. Okay, well maybe that's why they didn't put it in the first place because none of the verbs or any of those things are included in here. I guess that would make sense. So maybe you don't always need FMT. Okay, so it's kind of cool. It got rid of stuff that you don't need inside of your script. That's kind of interesting. The whole shaken thing is a load of BS. Gin martini should be stirred. Okay. All right. Again, I don't do martinis. I'm barely a beer drinker, and you know I'm cool with hard seltzer at this point in my life. So, all right. So we didn't need FMT. Go is apparently smart enough to tell me that, which is kind of cool. Let me go in and do initial commit. So I may not be doing this correctly. If you're a developer, I apologize, but I just commit and sync because I don't have any Fs. So it's Friday. I just commit all that stuff to my repo, considering I didn't put the Go file there. So that's what we do. All right, so run the code. We're gonna get to run code now, y'all. Begin tracking the gen module as a dependency. At the command line, you get to use go get. Okay, so go get to add the github.com gengonic. I get it. They're trying to shove a go joke in there as a dependency for your module. Use the dot argument to mean get dependencies for code in the current directory. All right, so go get okay, so we go and got we added a ton of stuff. Here we go. Oh my God, that's a lot of stuff. Gogonic. Okay, so you see it gone out to GitHub, Gen Contrib SSE, Peltier, GoToml, ByteDance. Okay, so now I have some stuff from ByteDance, which is the same people that made TikTok, which is a Chinese-owned company. Golang.org slash, maybe it's not. Maybe it's a different ByteDance. I don't know, but you know, as a security person, that's something you need to know. So it's going to be grabbing all of this stuff. So it's, if I remember correctly, Bond was ordering a weaker drink with his famous order. Okay. But it's cool to have this happen. I don't know how many people actually look at these things and go, hey, that's something we should look at. You know, who's Klaus Post? You know, who's Shen Zhao? I apologize for the person that made this, but there's a ton of stuff this is pulling in, not just a simple, you know, GitHub repo for this. It's pulling in everything that you know, pretty much everybody you sleep with, and then everybody who you sleep with, and so on and so on and so on. So yeah, there's a ton of stuff that it's pulling in addition to just a simple, you know, gin in this case. So, all right, and then so we've added gin tonic, which is right here at 190. So this hasn't been updated in a bit, but that's okay. It's going to, Bond always ordered a dry martini. Yeah, my wife does dirty martinis with extra olive juice. I don't. All right, so from the command line in the directory containing main.go, run the code. Use the dot argument to mean run in current directory. Right, so in this case, so what we've got here is go mod, go.sum, and main.go. Wouldn't say he was ordering a weaker drink. He always asked for a dry martini. I've raised this before, usually got the response that nobody has the time to do this. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, because I mean, there's a ton of stuff that it's pulling down, and it's like, I mean, what are your options, right, Walt? If you pull all this stuff down, it's like, well, you have to have it to use this. What are we going to do? Well, it's the only option we have. So it's like, okay, well, do you want to take the time to, you know, understand what GoToml is, or, you know, Twitchy Liquid 64? You know, I mean, ideally, that's why you've got the Go mod. It's going to keep track of those dependencies for you. So ideally, all of that stuff is inside of your go.mod now. So if you go more, go dot, go, good. So yeah, see, now you've got all of your dependencies in here. Requires all of these things. Indirect. So you're not calling these directly. Obviously, something else is calling those. So that's kind of cool. Usually suggested that the solution to this is monitoring if the website crashes, then back off. Yeah, I mean, yeah, ideally there should be a way, you know, you're one to track those, and if you see a new dependency, or you know, something has changed, or you know, diffing things. I don't know what that looks like for everybody in a real environment, but yeah, I mean, I guess as long as you see the same stuff over and over and over again, you'd be fine. But if somebody was to gain access to any one of these people in this, and you know, you don't know how far down this goes. Like go earn could have dependencies of its own dependencies, or you know, what have you. So I mean, it could go all the way down. Um, so yeah. Anyway, so go run. Okay, so we're gonna go run dot. So go run dot, and I guess the next thing you'd want to do is to have some. Oh gods, what happened here? Um, okay, so warning: creating an engine instance with the logger and recovery middleware already attached. Running in debug mode. Switch to release mode in production. Okay, that makes sense. Get albums 3 handlers. Warning: you trusted all proxies. This is not safe. Hey, good form. Good. They're calling that out specifically. That's nice. This is not safe. We recommend you set a value. Please check package.go blah 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 for details. We're now listening and serving on localhost port 8080. Okay, so if I've done this right, so okay, I see. All right, let me. You know what? Let me pull up another. Let me pull up another terminal here because we've got this one with just running it. So I just called up another terminal here. We're going to go curl HTTP localhost port 8080 / albums. There you go. Look at me. I'm a Go developer. Hey. Usually select modern software is a house of cards. Wish it was more Lego than House of Cards. It's true. I'm just happy that it worked. So now I wonder what would happen. So if I go localhost 8080, I can't do it for shit. Albums. Okay, there you go. You got a nice fancy XML bit, and it looks like you can collapse all. Wow, look at that. Expand all. Save. So you can save it as a JSON file. That's pretty sweet. You can't see that output, but it pulled up a save as dialog per Firefox or your browser. Raw data, so you can see it in raw data format. You can see the headers. That's pretty sweet. You can look at the types of headers. So you've got text, HTML, application, XHTML plus XML. Uses gzip, deflate, and burr. Fetch destination, fetch mode, fetch site. Yeah, so that's pretty sweet. Okay, cool. That worked. That's pretty sweet. All right, so you've started the API. Yay. In the next section, you'll create another endpoint with code to handle a post request to add an item. Okay, so we're going to be appending things, or I'm assuming appending also means removal, or you could potentially corrupt something by saying, like in number, track 3. Oh, that was interesting. Okay, so okay, 1, 2, 3, right. So the raw data 1, 2, 3. I thought I saw like 0, 1, 2 or something like that. Maybe I'm weird. Okay, so you can filter the JSON as well. So what if I did ID 1? Oh, so you can filter by IDs. Oh, that's kind of cool. So you can actually search. So I did title. What if I did blue? Oh, there you go. Oh, look at that. Okay, so it is off. So the collapse all. So 0, 1, and 2. So there's 3 um, records, right? But it started at 0 on the records for the XML, at least in how this is. So you have 0 is actually 1, 1 is actually 2, 2 is actually 3. Really weird. Maybe I should have, Beta Wolf. Lady P, you're right. Append is only to the end, I guess. Yeah. So the put command that we're going to put in is going to create an ID for ID 5, ID 6, etc., etc. So yeah, there you go. All right, so let me see what time it is. Okay, we're good. Got about another half an hour, folks. Got another half hour. We're in the home stretch now, I feel, because we're about halfway down the page according to this. So we're going to add logic to add the new album to the existing list and a bit of code to route the post request to your logic. All right, so we're going to write the code, add the code to add albums data to the list of albums somewhere after the import statement. I like how they just say, oh, put it somewhere in there. It's fine. It's fine. I'm assuming I need to shut. Oh, hey, look at that. I even have logs. Hey, I got log. Oh, according to the discussion we had on Tuesday, I've just surveilled myself, and now I'm a bad person. So no logs are allowed apparently. So so what you see is it took what 553 microseconds. That's pretty cool. Okay. To do that. So I'm assuming I can just hit Control C and kill that. There we go. Probably not the nicest way of doing it, but it did it anyway. All right, so we'll close this one. And we'll save that again. I'm assuming. Oh, I've made changes, so that's what we're getting. So, all right, close that. So that way we can look at stuff. All right, it says somewhere after the import statement, just wherever you like, wherever you like. I'm assuming I'm gonna for brevity's sake and to make it like useful, I'm gonna put it right here, right after the get. So I'm gonna put post albums adds an album from JSON. Oh, not form. From JSON received in the request body. All right. All right. Func post albums. All right. And then C. Oh, C and then percent gen context. And then that. And then squirrely bracket. And then var new album. Okay. And then we're gonna take a hitter and then call bind JSON to bind the received JSON to. Oh, thanks, CPO Park. Hey, Walt, thank you so much for that. I appreciate the subscription. Oh, and for Prime subscription, appreciate that too. Thank you so much. For those of you unaware, you have an Amazon Prime account. You can you can use your Amazon Prime account. You get a free subscription to give somebody every month. It doesn't cost you anything, but we get money from Amazon. So stick it to Amazon by giving me money. There you go. I combined that into one line. I don't know why they. Well, you know what? Let's not pooch it. Let me. They must have a reason for doing so. So I'm gonna don't want to try to upset the boat in this case. So we're doing an if statement at this point. So if and then the walrus. So if the error, so it's a variable. If error to C dot and so ampersand new album. Okay, so if the error to bind JSON, if there is an error to c.bind JSON new album and the error is not nil, return. Okay, so it's a condition, right? So if there's okay, so let me read this again here. Maximize this for my old ass eyes. So if there's an error, and then to C bind JSON new album, so the new album is the variable. If there's an error there, and the error is not equal to nil, so let's then return. Okay. They'll explain that down at the bottom here, and we'll go through this in a second. So, and then is not equal or not equal. Good Lord, I suck. All right, and then squirrely brackets, return. We learned a little bit about return in on the W3 school stuff. So it's like you're going to return, you're going to continue like going back, and I believe that's how it reads. That's part of the logic flow on that. So all right, add new album to the slice. You need to watch the Tuesday show on logs. Yeah, Walt. The synopsis was somebody on Mastodon. I forget that Mastodon is a bit has a different clientele, if you will, and they have some strong feelings about logs and observability. And I don't want to say ranty, but I felt things there in terms of the differences between what the difference between surveillance and observability. I called it observability, and I still think that that's actually the more correct term. We're not all sitting around watching people do shit on a regular basis, but this person felt like logs were considered bullying or a psychological issue. Whereas like you're creating an unsafe space by logging things. And they actually made comment that some people felt unhappy or uncomfortable with this situation. I was only because I don't see it the way he sees it, he sees it in terms of observability. It I was a little on the intense side, Beta Wolf. I won't lie to you there, because it just kind of runs counter. So, yeah. All right. So we got all the code in here. So in this code, you will use a context.bindJSON. So we've got the content.bindJSON. This must be some kind of shorthand. The C dot whatever is context.bindJSON. In this case, here's where we're calling the C's for that, for the gen context. So C, the shorthand for that, and this is the gen context. To bind the request body to new album. Okay, so I get it. So okay. Append the album struct and the album. So the album struct in this case, which is up here on lines 10 through 14, initialized from the JSON to the album slice. So we've initialized when somebody does put, we're looking for JSON formatted in this manner to represent the code. So adding a 201 status code to the response along with the JSON representing the album you added. So if the code works and the JSON is correct, so HTTP code 201. Success creating response indicates that the request has succeeded and led to the creation of a resource. Creation of a resource in the case is a new record added to the file. Something I'm dealing at work, privacy users is huge. So logging is, well, yeah, 100% Beta Wolf. Yeah. Yeah, I just, there, Mastodon is, I don't know, like the place for spicy takes. I don't know. But I get it. There's some people feel very uncomfortable with that. And I gave examples that I don't feel comfortable with some things on my home network. So it is what it is. Oh, sorry, I scrolled down too far, I think. 201 code. Okay, so the 201 code is, of course, resource added. So if it all works well, we'll get a 201 status, and there will be a record added to this. So that's the one thing I don't quite understand yet. Will it actually modify this file, or will it just modify what's in memory? And the only 3 records that I have will always be in here, but like any subsequent records will only be modified in memory. We'll find out. All right, so we now need to change our main function. So func main right here, ding. So we need to add the post function. So router.post. So we will go router.post albums. And then post albums. The idea being, if we do a post command or we try to submit something, ideally we need to figure out how we're going to post something into it. So usually I would think you would have some kind of UI, like a form input. What I'm guessing is what we'll do as we scroll down through is we're going to have a curl command that's going to post something up to, router.post, and we'll be formatted similar to this, and we'll submit it with, you know, as is, or we'll make a file or something. Anyway, we'll get to that when we get to it. All right, so post albums run port 8080. In this code, you associate the post function with the albums path on post albums, right? With gin, you can associate a handler with an HTTP method and path combination. In this way, you can separate route requests sent to a single path based on the method the client is using. Okay. So well, that answers the question. If the server's still running from the last section, stop it. And then from the command line directory containing main.go, run the code. All right, so we will, one of these days I'll remember how to do all of the things. So let me go ahead and save the main.go right now. CD, yes. There we go. All right, and then we need to go run dot. So we'll get a bunch of error messages because we're not doing it correctly. Okay, you're all are seeing that. Let me. There we go. Let's move that over a little bit for y'all. All right. So now we need to. All right. So here is the new one. It's running on port 8080, and then we will. So here's the command. Yeah. So okay. That's what we're doing. So curl. It's getting okay. We got another 15 minutes here. So HTTP local host 8080 slash albums. Ah, okay, can I shrink up that? Yeah. Okay. So all I've done is I've shrunk up the UI, the text. So that's why it's looking smaller and a little more compact. If you're having trouble seeing it, let me know. That way, because if you're having trouble seeing it, somebody's watching this on the VOD and they won't be able to, they may not have the ability to see it either. And I want to make sure that that's not what I wanted to do. Can brother just get? Okay, I don't understand that. I should be able to hit. Maybe they're just putting the backspace or the backslashes in. See, in my case, I should be able to put a backslash in and it would automatically go to a new line, but I'm guessing that doesn't work in PowerShell. So I'm going to type it out without the backspaces. Thank you, Percy. Anyway, so we're going to get rid of the backslash because apparently that doesn't work in PowerShell. So include header content type application / JSON. How bad does that sound in my screen? Find out next time on Dragon. Beta Wolf, are you trying to tell me that I'm like the Namek version of the Namek scene with where they just sit there and they grunt at each other for 25 episodes and it could have been done in like 5. never quite understood that that series there for that. All right, so 4. All right, so noink. All right, so what we've got here is title. Here's the title of the album, formatted properly. The artist is Betty Carter. I don't know who Betty Carter is, and $49.99 for the price. So I'm going to Control V. All right, so we've formatted everything correctly. So we got 4 colon or comma title, sound modern sound of Betty Carter. Artist is Betty Carter. Price $49.99. Okay, everything is the same. Everything's lowercase. Everything's fine. Okay, so this is the request in. There we go. So there we go. The curl command is going to run, and if all goes well, this will be added to the to the database or to the file. So I'm going to shrink this down because I'm wondering if it's actually going to edit this file. I don't think it is. I think it's just going to modify what's in memory, but we'll see. Okay, so as you can see here, everything got sent. 201, so it got created successfully. I'm going to go to my other terminal. So what you can see here is it took 544 microseconds. I'm assuming that's a micro with the little Greek symbol there. Get, so it got the original albums. Another thing was sent saying get albums, but nothing changed there. It didn't take anything to do. And then we have a 201 post request to albums. So now what? Okay, so it didn't modify the Go file. I didn't expect it to because I was like, wow, that would be a major issue if it's actually modifying the code in Sitch. So, all right, what are we going to do now? The command should display, right, we saw that, all right. As in the previous section, use curl to retrieve the full list of albums, which you can use to confirm that the new album was added. So, as we mentioned, it's in memory. So, these 4 now records are only available in memory. So, if I shut off my machine or it blue screens because, you know, Percy's caused some issues with a power failure or something like that, the only thing that's left is those 3. So, all right, so I can go into, all right, so let me go grab that. Curl, HTTP, wow, okay, so that's very nice. Localhost, God damn, 8080, albums, header, content type. Application, JSON, request, get. All right. There you go. You see the output of all 4 of the records. So this one only exists in memory, so it's very volatile in this case. We're pulling the 3 that we know is in memory along with the new one that we've added. So that works. In the next section, you'll add a code to get a specific item. So this is a very iterative process, right? So we've built the basic API. We've added some data to the system. We're able to retrieve the data from that system. And now we're going to query for a specific one. Like, you know, you don't want to keep showing, you don't want to dump your database every time you do a get command. So let's say we need ID number 3. We need to find out if Sarah Vaughn and Clifford Brown exist in the system. Hey, Digital Warhead, what's up? How you doing? We're learning Go, and I made an API. So what we're going to do is we're going to write a handler to return a specific item. Okay, we've got 11 minutes, so we're gonna see if we can make this happen. To do this, you will add logic to retrieve a requested album, and then map the path to the logic. Write the code beneath the post albums function. So As before, I'm going to go in and kill the connection. So what you see at the last thing was Jen going in, and there's a 200 code. Get albums was done. So that's why when we were able to view all the records, that happened. So I'm going to Control C and exit status 13A, which I probably, oh no, C 0000 13A. That's probably terribly good. I don't know. So we're going to get album by ID function. So we're going to create a new function. All right. Underneath post albums. So I will add that right here. So here's post albums. Beneath the post albums functions. So that's right here. All right, so get album by ID locates the album whose ID value matches the ID parameter sent by the client, then returns that album as a response. So probably what's going to happen is it'll be localhost port 8080 / album / 3 in this case. And we'll pull that ID, it's basically saying, go to this website to the albums API endpoint and pull record number 3. So we'll, I don't need to type remarks. So I'm going to grab the remarks, put those in here. All right, so func get album by ID C, and then like the shortcut for C gen context is C, so it's referring anything to C to be gen context. So it's a shorthand. It feels like it's a shorthand kind of thing. So we could call it D if we wanted to, but that would screw everything up else in the system here. So and then curly bracket ID. We're going to walrus it up real sweetly. C.param ID. And then equals, and then going to just go ahead and copy the remarks. Okay. Yes, I know that's a cop out. It's fine. Tab 4 and then underscore. So when you put an underscore in, that means you're not looking for range of albums. So if you actually had a variable here like B, so you're looking at range and albums. So A is albums. So we're A.ID is the album ID in this case. The underscore means that we're not looking for the range of those things. It's going to omit that for all intents and purposes under the 4. Normally you have to have a variable for each one of the arguments that you're trying to ask for, and in this case we're not going to have that. That's the way I understood it when I came up against it for W3 schools. So range. So we're not. It will either not ask for a range, or it will just omit that when it comes up. And if I'm incorrect there, I'd love anybody who's smarter than me to let me know that, because I don't want to steer people wrong, not on purpose. Curly bracket. All right. And then C dot. So the C, remember up here at the top, we're going to be pulling gen context, but instead of putting gen.context.indented JSON, we're using a shorthand. So indented JSON, HTTP, status, okay, A. So we're only calling the A. We're only calling the A part, which is the albums in this case. And then return. And then we're done. We got our curly brackets. Everything's been, wow, very nicely color coded. Interesting. So we've got the purple bracket that goes for this one, the blue bracket for this one, and the yellow bracket for the one at the very top here. That's very cool. It also shows you which one matches up to it. So VS Code's thought of everything. So that's very cool. All right, and then at the bottom of the second one here, we want to do that, and then go C dot indented JSON HTTP status not found. Gen H message. So these are error controls, right? So if you try to put in number 5 for the record, because it'll say album not found. So anything other than 1, 2, 3, or 4, you'll get album not found. Which makes sense. You want to put in some error codes. Actually, you probably would have put in like a print function where, on a fully fledged web app, where you're putting some things in, you might actually put like, hey, successfully inserted, or that kind of thing. For an API, you may not want that because it would show up in your output in the API, and that might cause some errors, or formatting errors or scripting errors, I would imagine. So you may not always want success messages in there. You may just want to go and look at your logs and go, okay, did I get a 201? Yes, I did. Okay, it's good to go. At least logically, that's how it feels to me. So, foam not out. All right, so we got our curly bracket and our braces. Okay, so we're good to go there. Everything's good, everything's good, everything's good. All right, nothing. All right, so in this code, you will use context.param to retrieve the ID path parameter from the URL. And that's what we're going to do. ID param, yeah, context.param. So gen.context.param ID. So we're looking for the ID type. And that was what was mentioned before. We're looking for the ID right here, IDs. Loop over the album struct in the slice, looking for those ID fields that matches the ID parameter value. Kind of like what we did in the browser earlier when I did a search and I looked for ID and it would give me all the IDs, right? And so if it is found, you serialize that album struct to JSON and return it as a response to 200 OK HTTP code. So this is almost like a filter. So we're kind of like filtering like we did in the website, except where we go ID3, so ID3, and it's going to show us all of the copies of the third track, not just the fact that there is a fact in ID3 in the JSON blob. Okay, as mentioned above, real world service, you'd likely use a database query to perform this lookup. So it'd be like, select star from albums where ID equals 3 or something like that, and you'd pull that in. Or ID equals X, and you're maybe pulling that from a simple web UI or something. As mentioned above, real world, return a 404 error with HTTP status not found if the album isn't found. Yeah, okay, maybe 404 seems okay. Ooh, excuse me, sorry. All right, so at the bottom, our main func, in our main func here, we're going to router get. And what we're doing is exactly as I thought we would do. Where the albums is the endpoint, and we're going to slash, and we're going to look for the argument. So, colon ID, and then that's going to get albums by ID. The ID being get album by ID. So this is it. Router get copy. We're going to put it right there. So this is another get request. It's just we're looking for specific ones in this case. In this code, you associate album's ID path with the get album by ID function. So you're just saying, every time I run this, I want you to do this. So every time you see this request, do this. And the ID could be any number. And then, depending on your number, you get either yes, here it is, or you get album not found. All right, run the code. All right, I'm starting to see a trend here where we're running the code. One of these days I'm going to remember that hotkey. Control Shift Tick. Okay, Control Shift Tick, or back tick in this case. CD, and I think this will be the last one I get to do because I love y'all, but I got to go get dinner. I'm getting hangry right now. I didn't have lunch. I had a couple of meat sticks, and then the realtor person came up. Oh, well, we're done anyway at this point. Imagining having a Marco keyboard. I don't know what that means. Am I worried about should I have a Marco keyboard? Look, I just upgraded to like one with pretty I was using this beforehand, okay? So, this is incremental. I was using like a POS Logitech board. I actually have a wired keyboard for the first time in decades. So, You know, Daddy doesn't do wired. Okay, so Daddy don't do it. All right, so we go CD. Yes. Well, that didn't work. I was made. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, the macro keyboards. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that would be great. I just got to remember to learn how to use the keyboard shortcuts. You know, like I just closed it, so Control Shift backtick, and then Tutorial Gamer. Oh, I used the keyboard shortcut. All right, so we will. All right, scroll back up. CD. God damn you! Come on, man. There we go. Or W.E. Okay. Well, so like my screenshotting, I have ShareX on here, so I've mapped it to Control Shift Z every time, and then that allows me to do stuff. All right, let's make this happen. Let's kick this pig. So, all right, go run. We're going. Yeah. All right, so I did that one. All right, let's close. Let's move this out. I'm going to close that. I'm going to close that one. All right, so I'm going to close that. All right, so we have the services running on HTTP local 8080. I'm going to go ahead and open up another term window. Okay, ding. CD. Oh, right, so we're going to curl HTTP localhost 8080 albums, and it wants me to pull number 2. So ideally when I do this, it should just pull record number 2. Oh my. Oh my. What's going on there? Okay, what did I do wrong? That should have worked. Wait a minute, let me go back over. Let me double check. HTTP localhost 8080 / albums 2. Port 8080, so well, at least it's consistently bad. Gonna call. Okay, why is that no? Oh, no, that it should be working. Oh, I bet they're kicking up all that lovely pollen, sexy tree time in the springtime here. All right. Okay, what did I do wrong? Did I do something wrong in the code? Oh, you know what? I didn't save the script. I'm wondering because I didn't. Yeah, you know what? I'm thinking. I'm having a bit of a think because I didn't save it before I ran it. I bet none of the other bits are in there like they should be. So I bet this is a stupid on my part. I bet if I go back and do number 2 again, it'll work now. Ding, there it is. Forgot to say, you forgot to save your code before you execute and run, because what I was running was the older version, which didn't have all of the get albums by ID bits, which is why a 404 error came up. So that's on me. I'll own that. Okay, well, what did we learn today, everyone? We learned how to make ourselves a fun API that is actually useful. Of course, there are some things here where it's like eventually you're going to want to put it into a database, or you're going to want to put it into NoSQL or something like that, a key value pair in this case. Key value pairs, key value store, which could be something on Amazon, so like Amazon AWS, or you might have a product ID. So this is very much like this. You'll have a product ID or an album ID. You might have a type. So this is it might be title or sort key or what have you. And so I mean, you'll have a key value pair for these things. So you might use a different method. Key value examples. Here you go. Telephone. I know. my wife. I love her. Key value store. So yeah, Cassandra, Berkeley, Arrows. I don't know what an Aerospike is. I'm sure it's another one of these, but Cassandra for key value pairs, just a simple plain text database that fits in a file like that, and you just iterate through the text file. So, or Firestone on GCP. Thank you, Beta Wolf. I'm assuming you have some experience with Firestore. Uh, so yeah, at some point you won't, you'll call that, and that'll be somewhere. So the methods will be a little different. You'll have to figure out where all those things are. This is all in memory, of course, but yeah, that happens. So I've forgotten to save updates to AWS CloudFormation. Exactly, Walt. It happens. It happens, and sometimes, I'm glad I didn't spend a ton of time. I don't live in Des Moines. If you live in the Washington State area, you probably just got that Amber Alert. I don't live in Des Moines. Des Moines is quite south of here, sadly. So yeah, I made an API, and yeah, me too. Digital Warhead, yeah. So yeah, easy step-by-step iterative process of creating an API using, and you've got all of your, your dependencies in here now. So, you might need to create a nice little SBOM for your API, there's things you want to do, like if you're actually going to run this in production, you'd want a SSL cert. You're going to, set up your web server. I'm assuming there's some way in Gen to point a cert to it. You definitely wouldn't want to run this on localhost. And like Beta Wolf said earlier, Terraform. You're gonna, if you are iterating this, you're gonna run it in some kind of cluster. You're gonna want your SBOM to be able to understand what dependencies are there and be able to, address that accordingly. So I have to go to dinner. So hope everyone had a good time here hanging out with me on my longer than normal stream. Does anybody have any place that we can raid? I haven't done that in a few days. I can't. Oh, apparently I can type stuff. Let's see who's on right now. Let us see. All right, Digital Warhead. See you later. Okay, let's maximize that. Oh, Al Hazard is on. Let's do Al Hazard really quick. Oh, whoops. There we go. Al Hazard. That's right. Go have the weekend you deserve. All right. All right, everybody. Go have a good weekend. Take care of yourselves, because as we're fond of saying here, you're the only you have. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, hit us up on our Discord. But other than that, have a good weekend. See y'all. Bye.